Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's deep dive. We are tackling one of the most high-stakes, intensely debated topics out there right now, the 2026 education dilemma. For decades, the formula for success seemed basically carved in stone. You crack a massive entrance exam, secure a seat at an elite institution, and boom, your career is practically guaranteed. But we're living in a skills-first, AI-driven world now. So, does that traditional piece of paper still hold its return on investment? Or are we clinging to an outdated playbook? We're going to look at the hard data, the shifting hiring trends, and the realities of modern campus life to find out.
Here is a quick look at our roadmap for this explainer. First up, the 2026 education dilemma. Then, calculating real college ROI. Third, we'll look at the hidden value of campus. Fourth, the skills-first AI economy. Fifth, busting the dropout myth. And finally, your career decision framework. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the 2026 education dilemma, brand versus skills.
Right off the bat, students and parents are feeling massive anxiety right now. And honestly, for good reason. The old brand name guarantee success formula is totally fracturing. Okay, let's dive into this. To put things into perspective, India produces over 1.5 million, that's 15 lakh engineers every single year. It is a staggering amount of human capital entering the workforce simultaneously. And with acceptance rates at elite Tier 1 institutions, like IITs and IIMs, hovering below just 1%, millions of students are pouring into a vast, varied ecosystem of other colleges.
But here is where the system is kinda breaking down. Despite churning out 1.5 million graduates, fewer than half of them are actually considered industry-ready by employers. That's a huge disconnect. We're seeing entry-level IT salaries clustered around 3 to 4 lakh rupees, largely stagnant for years. Yet right across the street, professionals with applied AI or product experience are commanding 15 to 25 lakh within just a few years. There's a massive, undeniable gap between what is being taught in lecture halls and what the industry actually needs.
Moving on to Section 2, calculating real college ROI. Let's look at the actual value.
If we're going to treat education as an investment, which we absolutely should, we need to act like rational investors here. Looking at the financial landscape, Tier 1 government colleges like the IITs and top NITs, they offer unbelievable ROI. You're looking at subsidized fees of around 8 to 12 lakhs, paired with massive placement rates and median salaries that allow you to recover your investment incredibly fast. But then, look at Tier 2 private colleges. The fees there can jump to 18 to 25 lakhs. Here, you really have to do a careful fee payback analysis. The benchmark from our sources is this. If you can recover your course fee within 2 to 3 years of working, it's a solid investment. But if that stretches to 5 to 7 years, well, the financial value drops significantly, unless there are unique international or research benefits baked in.
And this builds right into something we rarely talk about: opportunity cost. When you enter college at 18 and leave at 22, you are spending 4 years of your absolute highest energy, most premium time in a classroom. The biggest argument against traditional degrees often points out that if you spent those exact same 4 years doing entry-level jobs at a startup, failing and learning in the real world, your growth could completely outpace what you'd learn in a lecture hall. Time is capital, guys, and you are spending 4 prime years of it.
All right, Section 3, the hidden value of campus, because it's definitely not just about academics.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is, before we just go ahead and declare traditional education completely dead, we have to recognize that college is far more than just a piece of paper or a curriculum. If you think of a college as just a degree-providing factory, you're missing the whole picture. A campus is basically a controlled laboratory. Imagine you join a college club and organize a 2,000-person event, and it completely fails. The catering doesn't show up, the speakers cancel. In college, you don't ruin your life, you just learn a massive lesson. If you make that same mistake at age 30 in your corporate job, you're probably fired. College gives you a safe space to fail, build deep interpersonal communication skills, and plug into an alumni network that, quite frankly, is still the fastest way to get your resume to the absolute top of a hiring pile.
So, Section 4, the skills-first AI economy. Let's talk about the massive shift happening in hiring right now.
We literally cannot ignore the tidal wave hitting the job market right now. According to the 2024 Talent Trends Survey, a massive 73% of professionals in India are now regularly using generative AI at work. Think about that for a second. The baseline for productivity has absolutely skyrocketed. AI is taking over routine coding and basic administrative tasks, So what employers want now isn't someone who can just memorize and pass an exam. They're desperate for someone with higher-order problem-solving skills who knows exactly how to leverage these tools. Look at what this paradigm shift looks like out there in the real world. Sudarshan Kamath, the founder of the AI startup Smallest AI, literally posted this quote for a role offering 40 lakh rupees a year. College does not matter. Resume not needed. They do not care where you went to school, they care what you can build. And it's not just the scrappy startups doing this. Massive corporations like IBM and financial giants like Zerodha are openly stating that they are prioritizing curious, capable candidates who have strong project portfolios over those who just happen to hold formal certifications.
So, what does this all mean? The crucial point is that we must draw a firm line between different industries. There's a clear bifurcation here. If you want to be a civil engineer building actual bridges, or a doctor, or a teacher abroad, you legally and practically need a degree. You literally cannot skill your way into a surgery room. But if you're looking at coding, digital marketing, the creator economy, or even ops, skills absolutely win. You can learn these online, build a killer GitHub portfolio, and get hired by top companies without ever stepping foot inside a university.
Which brings us to Section 5, Busting the Dropout Myth. We need to talk about survivorship bias.
With all this talk of skills winning, we definitely need a reality check. I have to ask, should you just drop out of college? It's arguably the trendiest narrative on the internet right now. Why go to class when Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates dropped out and built empires, right? Why not just skip the fees, skip the opportunity cost, and start hustling today? Seriously, should you just drop out? Well, the answer requires understanding something called survivorship bias. It's so important. We only ever see the billionaires who dropped out and made it. We do not see the thousands upon thousands of people who dropped out and are now struggling to find basic employment. To survive without a degree, you need immense resilience. You have to withstand the social stigma, convince your parents, somehow convince employers to take a massive chance on you, and have a relentless, almost crazy level of adaptability to teach yourself everything. If you genuinely have that rare level of courage and discipline, then yes, you can survive. If not, the degree is a much, much safer safety net. Finally, Section 6, your career decision framework. Let's synthesize all this. And this brilliantly illustrates how you can actually put all of this into practice. How do you navigate this? Well, if your goal is elite management consulting, quantitative trading, or investment banking, the Tier 1 college route is still your absolute best bet. The institutional pedigree and that high-pressure peer group are exactly the launchpad you need. Now, if you want to be in pure tech or high-growth startups, a hybrid or completely skills-first approach works wonders. Get the basic degree if you want, but your real strategy is building live projects and mastering AI tools. And if you're aiming for solid product-based roles, a Tier 2 college combined with aggressive, self-driven upskilling and networking is an incredibly smart, value-driven strategy. Ultimately, looking at all our sources, they point to one undeniable truth. Institutional pedigree might act as an entry filter. Sure, it might open that very first door, but a brand without competence is entirely hollow. As the hiring market gets tighter and AI completely reshapes what we do, recruiters are evaluating holistically. They want problem-solving, adaptability, and continuous learning. Getting into a top college is a fantastic start, but the most profound question you need to ask yourself right now is this: do you have a plan beyond the brand? Because in 2026 and beyond, capability is the only thing that will actually sustain your career. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive on The Explainer.